In this video, I've compiled some of my favorite Italian wine recommendations from the past 6 months. There's a variety of price points and wine regions represented, so there should be something for everyone. One of my highest priority wineries for this tasting was Tenuta San Leonardo. If you're not familiar with this producer, I definitely recommend that you get acquainted with them soon. This is one of the most historic, highly respected producers in northern Italy. Interestingly, they focus on making wine from Bordeaux varieties, and they do an excellent job of it. They have a unique microclimate in the Dolomite foothills that allows them to make intensely concentrated, yet elegant and age-worthy expression of Bordeaux varieties. When I approached the table, I noticed that several other Italian producers had representatives that were all tasting through the San Leonardo wines, so I knew that was a good sign. The 2019 vintage was particularly strong for San Leonardo, and they were pouring 2 different wines from that vintage. There was a Carmenere that I really enjoyed to start things off, but my favorite was definitely the Vigneti delle Dolomiti, which received a 98 port score from James Suckling. This wine is a blend that consists of several different Bordeaux varieties. It was intensely concentrated, yet extremely elegant. While this wine is still extremely youthful and has a long life ahead of it, it already showed impressive complexity with flavors and aromas that included mixed red and black fruit, subtle smoke, leather, and white pepper. It reminded me a little bit of a Northern Rhone wine, which is definitely a compliment coming from me. The prices for this wine are all over the place, so definitely do your best to shop around and find the best price you can. But I saw numerous outlets selling it for less than $100 per bottle. Etna Rosso has become one of the most exciting categories in Italian wine. What makes it special is the unique combination of altitude, volcanic soils, and Nerello Mascalese's natural elegance. The next top wine for $40 a bottle captures all of that. It reminds me a little bit of Pinot Noir in terms of its aromatics and its body, a little bit of Nebbiolo in terms of its structure, but it's unmistakably from Etna in terms of its minerality. This is the 2023 Girolamo Russo Etna Rosso Rina. This wine is a blend that consists of 90% Nerello Mascalese and 10% Nerello Cappuccio. These grapes are co-fermented. In the glass, you can expect flavors and aromas that include cherry, raspberry, rose petals, orange peel, mixed herbs, and spice. This impressive wine has depth and concentration, but also lift with vibrant acidity and a little bit of grip from the fine-grained tannins. Really an impressive wine. If you haven't tried an Etna Rosso lately, you definitely want to give this one a try. While many second wines from top producers like Sassicaia and Ornellaia sell for $50 or more these days, this wine sells for about $50 per bottle, even though it's not a second wine at all. This is a producer that's been in the Bolgheri area since the very early days and learned how to make wine from some of the big names. He started his own winery in 1988, and for whatever reason, his wine has never had the incredible price inflation that some of the other wines in the area have experienced. While this producer has historically emphasized including Sangiovese in his Super Tuscan blend, the 2023 vintage is the first vintage where he did not do so. So this wine is a blend that consists of 60% Cabernet Sauvignon, 30% Merlot, and 10% Cabernet Franc. So the first top wine for $50 a bottle is the highly acclaimed 2023 Michele Satta Piastraia Bolgheri Superiore. This wine features flavors and aromas that include blackberry, mint, cedar, tobacco, and Mediterranean herbs. It's very much a classic Super Tuscan blend. Another thing I like about this wine is the more restrained use of new oak, only about 40%. This makes it a little bit approachable when it's younger, and it's wine you can definitely enjoy early and certainly over the next 15 years or more as well. My new book, Napa Valley Decoded, is already a #1 bestseller and the top new release in wine. This is the book that I wish I had when I first got into Napa Valley many years ago. This book has quickly become a trusted resource for collectors, enthusiasts, and wine professionals. Whether you drink Napa Valley wines, are studying for a certification exam, or are visiting Napa Valley, this book will be an invaluable resource. To learn more, please be sure to check out the link in the description below. One of the things I like most about Italian wines is all the intriguing wines that are produced from indigenous local grapes. Certainly one of my favorite producers in Piemonte is Vietti. So the next top wine for $40 a bottle is the 2023 Vietti Timarasso Colli Tortonesi Derthona. Timarasso is one of the most fascinating white grapes in Italy, and Vietti is one of the producers that's leading its modern revival. This is a white wine that has real structure, depth, and ability to age, much like a red wine. If you've never tried Timarasso before, you should definitely give it a try. And like most Italian wines, it's a great companion for food. In the glass, you can expect flavors and aromas of peach, lemon, lime, apple, flowers, and wet rock. There's ample acidity and an intriguing texture that I enjoy. But I will warn you that you may need to be a little bit patient with this wine. It actually gets better and improves with a couple additional years of bottle age, and even when you do open it, I've personally found that it sometimes gets better after an hour or so. So I've even started to decant it a little bit. I'll just pour it in a decanter and put the decanter on ice, and that works great. While I typically have a purchasing maximum of 3 or at the most 6 bottles per wine, I was so enamored with the 2016 vintage of this wine that I backed up the truck and purchased almost 2 cases of it. It's that good a value, and I'm glad that I did, as I've been dipping into them recently, and they're showing phenomenally well. This is a wine that comes from Produttori del Barbaresco. Their flagship, Produttori del Barbaresco, sells for around $40 per bottle, and the 2022 vintage has been highly acclaimed and is available in the market now. Produttori del Barbaresco is a cooperative, but it's a high-quality one. There's a little bit more than 50 members, and collectively they control about 1/6 of the total vineyard area in Barbaresco, including some extremely prestigious parcels. The cooperative has excellent management, and they ensure high quality through a number of protections. Among other things, they vary their pricing annually, and they pay based on quality, not quantity. They also require their members to sell 100% of their fruit to the cooperative, so the members can't cherry pick the best of their fruit and bottle it under their own label. The great thing about the 2022 vintage is that while they are producing some of the reservas, they're not making very many of them. So a lot of the fruit that would many times go into the reservas is all going into the classic bottling. You can expect flavors and aromas of dark cherry, licorice, roses, earth, mixed herbs, and spice. This wine is definitely better with at least a couple additional years of bottle age, but in a pinch, I've enjoyed it young with a healthy decant and a meal. This is a wine that punches well above its $40 price point and compares favorably with many Barbarescos and even some Barolo that sell for much higher price tags. And I tried dozens of Brunello from the 2021 vintage. This is a classic vintage, so it's definitely not a vintage that you want to open immediately. Rather, it's one that you want to put away in your cellar for at least another 5 to 6 years for most expressions. One producer that I really enjoyed that I think over-delivers at the price point is Livio Sassetti. Livio Sassetti had 2 different Brunello that I really enjoyed at this tasting, namely the 2021 Brunello di Montalcino and a single vineyard expression called Mulino. These wines received 95 and 96 points respectively, and they sell for right around $60 to $65 per bottle, which is an extremely fair price for wines of this quality. I had a slight preference for the Mulino, but you really can't go wrong with either one of them. Next, we'll head back to Italy to a wine region that I think is becoming increasingly more interesting from a value standpoint. This is particularly true given some of the price increases we've seen for other Tuscan wines. This wine is 100% Sangiovese, and while my go-to for many years has been Chianti Classico, some of that wine is becoming a little bit more expensive, and so I'm starting to dabble in other areas. Specifically, Vino Nobile di Montepulciano. The 2022 Avignonesi Vino Nobile di Montepulciano received a 95-point score from James Suckling. This is definitely a wine that compares favorably to many Tuscan wines that sell for double the price, if not more. In the glass, you can expect flavors and aromas that include cherry, licorice, eucalyptus, bergamot, and mixed herbs. This wine has vibrant acidity and polished tannins. This is a wine that you can enjoy immediately, particularly with food, but it will also cruise in your cellar for 5 to 8 years or more. It's a wine that comes from a producer in Piedmont, Italy, that's known for making some outstanding wines that cost more than $100 a bottle, but that also has an extremely impressive, affordable entry-level wine. This is the 2023 La Spinetta Barbera d'Asti Cardapian. If you're not familiar with Barbera, it's naturally high in acidity, which makes it a fantastic choice for food. Better still, you don't need to age it at all, and this one is ready to go immediately. There can be some uninspiring examples of Barbera, but this one is definitely a high-quality expression that received an impressive score from a major critic. The vineyard sources for this wine have vines that average an impressive 40 years of age and have ideal south-facing exposure and are located at 300 meters of elevation. This wine matures for around 12 months in oak barrique, plus some additional bottle aging before it's released. In the glass, you'll find flavors and aromas that include blueberry, black cherry, lavender, mixed spice, and menthol. This wine is soft, juicy, and extremely approachable with lots of fresh fruit and acidity. It has just enough structure to pair with roasted meats, and it's also an excellent companion for dishes like aged cheeses and pastas. Another extremely strong expression of Sangiovese that I enjoyed came from a producer called Ipsis. This was my first experience tasting their wines, and I was extraordinarily impressed with the wine. It had impressive intensity, but it was extremely elegant. There were layers and layers of flavor and a long, complex finish. It was a very well-balanced wine. It turns out this is a 2021 Chianti Classico Gran Selezione. I didn't notice that immediately because all that information is on the back side of the label. When I asked about that, they said that that was intentional. I looked up this wine later and found out a little bit more about it. This is a fairly new project, and it comes from fruit that is from a vineyard that used to be owned by Bonfi that was acquired by this producer not too long ago. They've been doing an excellent job in making some world-class wines, but I was a little bit surprised to see that the price point was more than $200 per bottle. That's certainly a very, very aggressive price for Chianti Classico, Gran Selezione or not. So it'll be interesting to see how this wine fares in the future. But it certainly was extremely impressive. I'd like to be able to try this wine side by side, perhaps in a blind tasting against some other top expressions of Sangiovese, such as Brunello di Montalcino, and perhaps some others as well. When it comes to Italian red wines, certainly wines like Barolo, Barbaresco, Brunello, and Super Tuscan wines get a lot of the attention, but there's certainly a number of other excellent red wines being produced in Italy as well. One that I discovered long ago during my Level 3 WSET program is Aglianico. Aglianico is a variety that thrives in the Tirazi region in Campania, and there's some extremely impressive wines made from Aglianico. If you haven't tried Aglianico before, it has impressive acidity, but it can also have some grippy tannins, so tannin management is paramount. Mastro Berardino is one of the benchmark producers in Tirazi, and they make one of my favorite expressions of Aglianico, and it's called Radici. Radici is their flagship bottling. This wine is 100% Aglianico, and the fruit for this wine comes from carefully selected Aglianico fruit from south-facing vineyards. This is a wine that matures for around 24 months in barrel, but then also undergoes extensive aging in the bottle before being released to help tame the tannins. This is a full-bodied, intensely concentrated wine, but also one that is well-balanced with ample acidity. Flavors and aromas include dark fruit, wet stone, black licorice, mixed herbs and spice, and earth. This is oftentimes a wine that I order at Italian restaurants because the price is extremely reasonable relative to other Italian reds that are on restaurant wine lists. This wine does already undergo extensive aging at the winery before it's released, so you can enjoy it young with a healthy decant and a meal in a pinch. But I found that I enjoy it with even more aging, preferably an additional 8 to 10 years after release. If you're ordering this wine at an Italian restaurant, it will definitely benefit from some air. So I would definitely encourage you to order it early in the meal and request that the server pour it in glasses for everyone so that the wine can air out. You can definitely try it that way right when they pour it and see how it evolves over the course of the evening. But when I'm doing that, I almost always get either a starter cocktail or a white wine at the beginning because this wine will definitely be much better an hour or two after it's poured. If you'd like to learn more about Italian wines, I've published numerous videos on various Italian wine subjects, including Super Tuscan wines, Barolo, Brunello, Chianti Classico, and many more. So if you'd like to check those out, be sure to check out the playlist that's linked above.